Hello and welcome to another battle report with the Schola Progenium. So today we'll be facing off against a Death Guard army. Now, to those of you who are into your tournament meta, you'll see like a couple of elements here that are very much in vogue right now, such as your termies and that kind of thing. And this is about as, although it's not absolutely primed, it is about as tough a Death Guard list as you're going to find. And we're going to be facing off with our, what we've been recently calling the Phoenix list, the Blood Angels, Pure Infantry Red Tide. So without much further ado, Liz, if you could just take us quickly through the list.
Yep, so up front we have two Demon Princes, one of them being the Warlord. He has Blades of Putrefaction and Arc Contaminator, as well as Fulgaris's Helmet Relic, whereas the other guy has Putrescent Vitality and the Sapurating Plate. Both of these have wings and the talons.
And what do those bits of equipment do? What are their buffs? What they're doing?
So Blades of Putrefaction, if I remember, it does on the roll of a 6. I grant a mortal wound, I think. And Putrescent Vitality gives me +1 strength and toughness.
So this guy's just like smashing it out.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, what have we got elsewhere in the army?
If you come over to the elites, we have the Foul Blightspawn, who comes standard with his Flamer. The Blightlorn Terminators, who have all combi bolters, except for the guy with the flail and the Blight Launcher. And they all have the axes.
Nice.
And the third elite is the Hellbrute with missile launchers and Last Cannon. And then the fast attack, I have 3 Myphitic Blight Haulers, they come as they are, and 2 bloke drones with the Flamers.
Nice.
And then last I have my Battalion of Demons, which is a, you have the Poxbringer here with my Esmer of Pestilence, which is -1 to hit on a unit, and the Slopty Bile Piper, who has no psychic powers. 2 units of 3 Nurglings, and then a unit of 30 Plague Bearers with the Demonic Icon and the Instrument of Chaos. That gives me 8 command points total.
8 command points, 2,000 points?
Yes.
Bang on. Right, okay. So I'll briefly run through what we're running on the Blood Angel side of things. So over on the Blood Angel side of things, we're starting off, we've got 6 HQ. So we've got a Sanguinary Ancient, we've got a Captain with a Power Sword and Mastercrafted Bolter, and a Lieutenant with Power Sword and Mastercrafted Bolter. Then we've got the Smash Bros, we've got a Baron Harkonnen with his Thunderhammer, and he's going to be suffering from the Black Rage today, he's pissed off. And we've got Mephiston, and he'll be running the first 2 Psychic Powers in the Blood Angels Codex, plus Wings, plus of course Smite. Going on to troops, we have 60 Tactical Marines. I need to put another 5 in there, I've not put them on the board. 30 Tac Marines. So we've got 6 units of 5, 3 of them have Plasma, and 3 of them are just bare bones bolters. Moving on to the elite section, we have 12 Death Company, 4 Power Swords, and 2 Thunderhammers, and 6 Chainswords, and they're all wielding bolters. And then we have the Sanguinary Guard, they've got 3 axes, 6 swords, and there's 9 of them in total. Finally, we've got 2 units of 5 Termies. One's all Assault Hammer, Storm Shield, and one is all Storm Bolters, 4 Thunderhammers, and 1 Power Sword on the Sergeant. And that takes us to 2,000 points on the nose. So 2 tough armies facing off against each other. Let's see what happens. Here we have the battlefield after deployment. So we're playing one of the chapter approved missions, the one that has 5 objectives, one in the centre of each table quarter. One over there, one by those guys. And they are each worth 1 point. But at the beginning of each round, you roll a dice. The number that comes up, 1 to 5, is the token, and that is worth 2 points at the end of that round. If you get a 6, they're all worth 2 points, and any that isn't selected by that dice is just worth 1 point at the end of each round. So you need to be controlling objectives and the battlefield throughout the game, not just at the end. It's very interesting. In terms of deployment, we've got the Death Guard here. There's a Hellbrute just holding this little objective. And we've got a mass of plague and pestilence. All over here, just as you can see, we've got the flyers, what are they called again?
Bloat drones.
Bloat drones. And I've measured, I think I'm 23 inches away from these squads, I believe, because I pre-measured, I counter deployed. They can fly 10, and they've got an 8-inch flame, 9-inch.
9 inches.
So I am a hop, skip and a jump. They can assault, they are assault weapons, so they can advance and shoot me. So could be losing a lot of tactical marines to those guys. And then because he's got his, what are they called again? Nurglings. He's dropped in there, so he's holding that central objective. He's got another squad under here. In terms of my deployment, I have a squad just here. You know, they're not painted, so I don't mind if they die. And they're facing off against those Nurglings and just holding that objective, forsaking cover. And then I've got the rest of my guys here. So 5-man squad there, 5-man squad there, 5-man squad there, and 2 longer ones stretched around the back. I've got a lieutenant and a captain who is my warlord, just there in the centre of that blob. Then underneath I've got a sanguinary ancient who can't quite fit under, so he's just to one side. And then I've got my Super Smash Bros and the chaplain in the middle of there, sort of just behind that front row of Blood Angels. So we'd have to shoot through 3 squads before we could start targeting them. So no last cannons for Lewis. Right, so I have to steal initiative, otherwise you get first turn. And then we'll roll off to see which is the fancy objective. So I don't steal. So Lewis is going first, I'm going second. And then which is the fancy objective? And it is 4. And we never actually said classic. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. So the Nurglings. Right, so in terms of relics and warlord traits, I have the warlord trait on this guy, which lets me get command points back. Or, no, I will go with doing extra damage on his sword, on his mastercrafted bolter. So I'm doing 3 damage on the mastercrafted bolter. Right, sweet. Sorry about that. And this guy's going to have the relic Angel's Wing, which lets him not suffer overwatch, and he rerolls charges, so that's sick on the Baron Harkonnen. And then I've just remembered that bastard of a relic that Nurgle can take. So he's got separating plate on this guy. Is that your warlord?
No, the other guy's separating plate.
On this guy, and is that the warlord?
No.
No. And this guy does mortal wound to me on saving throws of 6, is it?
Saving throws in combat.
So just any saving throw in combat that he passes, he'll do a mortal wound to me, which is horrendous. And then this guy's got the helm.
The helmet, which increases his aura range.
By 3 inches, I believe. Yeah. Right, so that is relics and warlord traits, so we'll see you after turn 1. Death Guard. Pick first turn from the Death Guard. So they advance forward a little bit. The Plague Bearer's only got 2 inches or 1 inch, something like that. This guy got 4 or 5 inches, and that guy got 1 inch. And he command pointed him to run. But all in all, they couldn't quite get in range of me, an inch out or so from the Flamers. These guys, and then in Psychic phase, this is what really made it. This guy just cast a glance, a mere glance, at the squad that was here with a smite. I failed to stop it because he got an 11. I rolled a 6 and a 1. I thought, you know what, I've got to command point this. I rolled it, got a 4, so I just failed to stop him. And then he rolled a 6, and bam, first strike. Squad of Tat Marines just melted out of their armour. Turned into a cloud of flies, perhaps, and the armour just like crumbled to the floor. And then in shooting, smashed out a few crack missiles and melter, and failed to wound anyone over here, and killed 3 guys over there, all with, one was a last cannon from the Hellbrute, and I think 2 missiles from the Plague Burst Crawlers.
3 missiles, missile and a last cannon, yeah?
Yeah, fired all that, and yeah, that was how it went, yeah. So, pretty good overall. We sort of thought there's something missing from this shooting phase, but Lewis usually takes, a good maybe 15 to 21 Plague Marines, but he's mixing it up a little bit today. But he's missing, or I am noticing, the lack of plasma and bolter coming my way, and it's refreshing. But I'm sure that's going to be paid back to me threefold in close combat, so we'll see how it goes. In Blood Angels, turn 1. So like for like, Mephi got out his smite after just moving. Everyone could move just in front of this guy with their 12-inch jetpack from underneath this building here. He smited this guy, he got through, he got 6, but it was only D3 of course, so he got 2 wounds after a 5 up Feel No Pain came up. Then I just fired, shot, plasma, crack grenades from my characters, everything into this guy, and I only did in total 6 wounds to him, so we had 4 left. So then I charged everyone with my captain. Obviously the Demon Prince was there, and Baron Harkonnen, he struck against the Demon Prince first, and he got his standard 2 ones to wound that he loves to get, but not today, Captain, because there's a Sanguinary Ancient backing you up. Rerolled those, got 5 wounds through, got 4, Lewis passed only 1, and then the sum of it was the Demon Prince died, and he got 2 sort of backblast wounds on him from the 4-ups, and then he got a double 6 with his Feel No Pain. So Baron Harkonnen absolutely smashing it, good lad. Mephi and all my other characters struck against this guy, but could only do a further 5 wounds, even with a Power Fist, you know, strikes from Mephi. Mephi failed any psychic powers apart from smite, so he didn't really buff any combat there. But the Sanguinary Ancient and the Chaplain, lovely combo with my Super Smash Bros here. And then I spent the 3 command points because I hadn't spent any to get a 3d6 charge, because I didn't need it. So I spent 3, struck again against this guy, and managed to, all in all, after Feel No Pains and that, do 6 wounds through the Thunderhammer. So I've taken them both down, you know, serious brackets, so the flames aren't going to be as lethal. But I have got, you know, a very high number of characters sat right there, and, you know, Lewis has got his entire army here, so they'll probably all die. In terms of points, Lewis has taken a steady lead there, a comfortable lead, because he's got 1, 2, 3 for the special one, 4, whereas I merely have 1, 2. Oh, and he got first strike, as did I. So that's 5, 3, all in all, in terms of points after the first turn. So let's see what happens after Death Guard, turn 2. So after a lot of deliberation, Lewis has decided to deep strike his termies in here. We wouldn't normally interject between turns, but we've decided that this ramp, just for fun, is straight up. So it's a 9-inch straight up charge to there instead of adding 3 inches for the level. Just to keep things interesting, you know, why not? Sort of it's a tough game, you know, it's a challenging game, but it's still a friendly game, so why not have a bit of fun? And he's gonna, instead of counterattacking my deep strikes, I have a massive deep strike forces, he's gonna try and chop into my Tat Marines over here. And he's also hopped over, instead of focusing his flamers on my characters, he's not taking the bait, and he's going for my Tat Marines. Now this is a problem for me, because Lewis is, you know, we've played against each other a lot, and he's very aware of my standard sort of tactics of trying to herd my opponents back into a corner away from objective, so he's not letting me do it, and he's going for these guys. And that is really going to change my plans, because now I have to change my deep strike tactics and make my attack maybe less powerful. So damn you, Lewis. And he's also just revealed that these guys give -2 to people in close combat within how many inches?
Just in general, just people, these guys on them, they've got Cloud of Flies, which is -1 to hit when they've got a squad size above 20. And I'm about to cast Miasma of Pestilence on them, which is -1 to hit in shooting or combat.
So basically, damn Lewis, damn you. Right, okay, so yeah. Let's get on to Death Guard turn 2 proper, after psychic, combat, shoot and all that kind of thing. Yeah. So an epic turn for the Death Guard turn 2. Now, from the perspective of the Tactical Marines, the sort of characters have been swallowed up by a mass of, they've just sort of disappeared, strode into the Cloud of Flies, and they've no clue what's going on in there. But meanwhile, within the Cloud of Flies, Mephi took an insane amount of shooting. He took, blooming, like, so many wounds from this guy, and just passed all his Feel No Pains. And then he went down, I think these guys shot at him, and he went down with his flamers to 1 wound, was it, or something like that? And I think some other stuff shot at him, and he just refused to die. And psychic powers he denied. Was it both of your psychic powers as well? So he just was literally just like, nah, I'm a Fiston, I'm the boss. Lewis also shot a couple of crack missiles, or 3 crack missiles from these guys over into that squad, but he only managed to kill 1 guy, which is disappointing. How did Mephiston die? What killed him? It was such an exciting team, I forgot. Oh yeah, so then this guy strode up with his crazy weapon. He rolled 2d6 for the strength, and he only got 6, but that's enough to win Mephiston on 3s. Then he rolled d6 hits, got 6 auto hits, very tasty. And it's AP -3. So he basically got, I think, 4 wounds on Mephiston. Mephiston passed 1 on a 6, but that was 9 wounds through. Mephiston had 1 wound to save, and yeah, I think he made like 1, so all his chickens came into roost at once, and he was just melted by that fancy plague weapon. The captain took an insane amount of hits, but just like passed all his armour saves, did really well. And these guys were targeted, it was just the Sanguinary Ancient that was targeted by these guys, which was, you know, very clever of Lewis, because obviously if the captain's still alive and he'd gone for the chaplain, you know, it wouldn't really have made a difference, still got those re-rolls in close combat and that. So Sanguinary Ancient, get rid of the wounds, but fortunately, again, I passed all my saves with that 2-up armour, so really sort of pissing Lewis off, basically, but it's been, you know, it's been a funny turn. Then over here, in sort of better news, Lewis really went to town on my Tactical Marines, and he has murdered a squad over here, and then flamed down another squad just to 1 guy. So I'm looking really thin on the ground in my castle, which is, you know, not good. This is not a good position for me to be in. And I'm holding that objective. In return, Lewis got 2 1s on his armour save from 2 wounds from my attack marines, and then he got a 3 and a 2 on his Feel No Pain, and lost a Terminator in return. This is just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful squad, Lewis. Really, really nice. Anyway, so it's Blood Angels, it's time to Deep Strike, turn 2. Let's see what we can do against this Death Guard horde. So with the roar of jet thrusters, these 3 characters burst forth from the mound of plague bearers that was on top of them, and alighted on this bit of terrain here, looking down on the battlefield. My Death Company deep struck in here. Oh, this wall's fallen over, just by this wall, just in between the plague termies that were over there, this guy, and the prince that was here. Then these guys obviously deep struck in, and these termies with Thunderhammer and a Storm Shield deep struck down on the ramp of Charginess, just at the bottom of it, behind these guys. These guys are still stood here just because, although it is the ramp of Charginess, it is also the ramp of Slippiness, and I can't seem to get them to stick, so that's fine. So we shot and shot and shot, and we just shot everything into these guys, because, you know, they are tricky and there, and going to be getting a lot of points for Lewis over the course of the game. So we've got to be got rid of somehow, just trimming the fat. And we killed a fair few, enough to give Lewis a battle shock test, a decent one. But he took it, he got a 1, and because of their special ability, because they're near some kind of character, he actually got D6 back, and that was 4 back from battle shock. So all in all, I think he only lost like 3 or 4, which is a little disappointing, but what can you do? It's all about the combat. In the combat phase, spent 2 command points to 3d6 these guys into the prince, and I declared a charge on the crawlers and these 2 characters here, but not the guy with the auto hit flames. And they got in, they got 12 or something like that. These guys failed their charge over here, and these guys were just all within the buff direct line of sight over there. So reroll wounds, reroll all hits, and reroll 1s to wound and all hits. However, when I got in there, it turned out that they could not strike first. They can only strike in normal sort of order, but if you were within 7 inches of this guy and you've charged, you cannot get the benefit for charging. So I struck with my termies first. Without support, they managed to only get, I think, 2 wounds through, but Lewis failed both and all his Feel No Pain, so he lost 2 guys. So he's on 2 left. And then I struck, and then he struck with his prince. He spent 2 command points to interrupt, because then we were just down to normal charges at that point, because these had lost the ability. and I killed, I think, 4 Death Company, something like that, with chainswords. And in return, I struck at the Prince. Only the Thunderhammers were needed. I just rolled really well. Lewis failed all his saves, and the Prince was killed. I also struck against this guy with chainswords and put him onto 1 wound. He's a real tough little geezer. He's got toughness 5 wounds. And you know, really good buff ability as well, giving these guys 2d6 and all that special. So 4 of them came back because he's still alive. So that was you know, really good. This sort of mound of Nurgle has like so many buffs going on in it. It's just absolutely insane. It all like bounces off each other. It's really good. Even though I declared these as a charge to do my sort of normal trick of striking again in the close combat phase, even though I couldn't reach them in the first charge, and by consolidating, I decided I've only got 4 command points left at this point. I'm going to hold on to those. Still got my Sandguard off the field. So yeah, we just decided, we've tied them up with the Death Company, and that'll be enough for now. So we've got rid of both princes. It's looking pretty good for the Blood Angel. It's been a really tense couple of turns, like really, really exciting, cinematic, absolutely everything you would want from a game. So hope you guys are enjoying it as much through your, you know, computer screens. Anyway, on to Death Guard turn 3. All hail Baron Harkonnen. So, Death Guard turn 3. It's been pretty effective, well, very effective in fact. So first of all, he used this guy and just sort of thought, I've got to guarantee this. Fired 2 last cannons and a missile launcher, or yeah, that was it. And the guy over here just one tap room because they've been sticking, and of course he just died. Then he pulled out with these guys from the Death Company, and then charged in, did a bit of shooting, I think. Did you have much shooting? No, that was it, wasn't it? And then
I shot my flamer.
Oh, shot your flamer into the Death Company first. This guy. He got strength 10 on the 2d6, random strength, and just wrecked, you know, most of Death Company. There were 4 left, I think. Then he charged in, killed 1 with the Plague Bearers, and then this guy with the big belly here and the axe. What's he called? He's
a Plague, a Herald of Nurgle.
Herald of Nurgle. Poxbringer Herald of Nurgle. Nice proxy model there. He just killed 3 Death Company, no problem, no questions asked. So that was the end of the Death Guard turn, but they've really taken me off objectives here. This one's going to be worth 2 this turn, and I'm not going to get rid of those Nurglings. We're already ahead by a point, because I think it's 8-7. So we'll have to see what we can do to even the score on points, because it's getting on in the game. I can't have Lewis keep scoring against me. So, see what happens. Blood Angels turn 3. So a little bit of a miscalculation on my part has led to the Blood Angels being a bit of a sticky position. I was going to put these Sandguard in over here, take care of these guys, or these guys, whilst being sat within 3 inches of that objective, but I thought, you know what, I don't want these guys shooting at me because I haven't got an invuln save, so I'll come in over here with my buffs, chop these guys up and then move on in a later turn. However, I have got bogged down in the Nurgle, as you always do. Why did I think I wouldn't get bogged down in the Nurgle? Anyway, so then, you know, did a bit of shooting, killed a bunch of these guys. Lewis didn't get any back, but he didn't lose any from Battle Shock either. And then these guys charged in with the captain on his big dreadnought thing, and these guys charged in over here using 2 of my last 3 command points to get 3d6 charge, and they got 14, so they went in against this guy as well. Anyway, so I decided, and this was a big miscalculation, second one of the turn. I think I got a little comfortable. I was looking pretty like, oh, I know what I'm doing here. And I basically attacked this guy, blew him up with the captain, no problem, but Lewis used his last command point to blow and really explode the dreadnought, and he killed the captain, did one mortal wound to this guy, killed my Sanguinary Ancient with 3 wounds in 1 blast, because they've only got 3 wounds. Only did 3 wounds, did another 3 wounds to this guy, but he's alive because he's a chaplain, and then killed a couple of these guys, or killed one of these guys as well. So that was really bad, a massive explosion, big chain reaction. And then because I'd lost my reroll 1s, I really could have done with that. I got slowed down, and I think I only managed to do 3 wounds to these guys and 1 wound to this guy from my Sandguard, even with rerolls from the chaplain. So Lost my momentum a little bit on the charge there, so I'll have to see what I can do. In terms of points, we miscalculated last turn, we forgot about this objective, so Lewis actually on 9, it was 9-7. They'll now go up, that one's the special one, so that's +2 to Lewis. And then another one makes +3, so he goes from 9 to 12. And I've got 7, +1 makes 8, and then I've taken this one off him, makes 9. So it's 12-9 at the moment. I've got his Warlord, he hasn't got mine. I'm currently in a position to take Line Breaker, but it's not going to make a difference if things carry on the way they are. So we'll have to see what we can do. We'll find out which objective is the special one, and it is number 3. So 1, 2, 3. So we're going to be, I'm going to have a boost there, that's good at least. So we'll see what Death Guard can do in their turn 4. So this is a community information broadcast if you are a Death Guard player. Take the, what's he called?
Foul Blight Spawn.
Foul Blight Spawn. This guy has just rolled another 6 hits, that's 3 in a row. He's in my Sand Guard, and he's killed most of them, so there was 2 left. Lewis, I think, pulled out with these guys, pulled back, and nothing really happened. And then he attacked these guys, but I made all my saves. So I've got 2 Sand Guard left. And Lewis has this guy just flaming absolutely everything. It's just tough cookies. So but I've managed to hold on to this objective, which is good. I was worried he'd go for that objective. So we'll see what we can do. In Blood Angels turn 4. Blood Angels, first of all, these Termies moved just around here, and the Sand Guard jumped back and created sort of a layer between that chaplain and this objective. Then they sprayed in, because I got fly, and then all these guys sprayed in and sprayed in and sprayed in, and we killed a few. And then we charged. Oh, we shot with these guys as well, of course. Then we charged in, and we managed to blow up the guy with the flamethrower. What's he called?
Foul Blight Spawn.
The Foul Blight Spawn. All these complicated Nurgle names. But anyway, he's dead. We beat him to death with Power Fist, and there's nothing he could do. And then consolidated into this guy here. Lewis rolled a 6 on his Battle Shock, and just went down to 1 guy left in this squad. So this objective is looking pretty secure. At the end of the turn, I get 2 for the fancy objective, +1 makes 3, and that puts me up to 12. And then Lewis gets 1 for this and 1 for this, so that puts him up to 14. So Blood Angels are closing the gap, but Lewis has got a secure castle in the middle here. And these Nurglings, they're really tough to kill. If you've ever played against Death Guard, they're really tough to shift, so I don't really fancy my chances of shifting either of these little blocks of objectives. So we'll see which one is the fancy one in this turn. I'll just steal that wound dice. Right, it is number 5. So we've been going 1, 2, 3. Oh, damn it, it's the centre one. Right, 2 points extra for you this turn. That's going to make it really tricky for me to catch up. Right, we'll be with you after Nurgle turn 5. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Quick turn for Nurgle, but turn 5 has been a good one, so they've meandered these guys back, hoping to, if it goes on, go on to that objective, and then they just blasted a load of firepower into my Termies and killed them, and that was basically it. And I'm just kicking myself because I've been really lazy with these Termies. I said earlier, oh, they're not going to do anything. They could be about here by now, and then charging these guys, and I'll be having some Thunderhammers on, so basically, lesson to take away from this game: don't be lazy. Alright, anyway, so Blood Angels turn 5, possibly the last turn of the game. So the Sand Guard pushed forward here, protecting this chaplain, holding this objective and putting pressure on this objective, although how much pressure 2 Sand Guard can apply is questionable. These guys, you know, started making their way 3 turns too late, or a couple of turns too late, over to threaten this as well. And these guys, well, it's basically, it doesn't matter what I do with them now. I should have been running them over towards these objectives as soon as that one started to get weakened, like maybe 1 guy left on it. But basically, the lessons to take away from this game, I'd really like to learn from my game, is to not be lazy. You know, looked pretty solidly in the bag for the Blood Angels. You know, Death Guard a couple of points ahead, So I was, just relaxing, having a nice chilled out game. But we've had a really fun game, so I'm not disappointed at all that I am almost guaranteed to lose this. But just don't be lazy unless you don't mind losing, because you will, especially against a tough opponent like Death Guard. So we'll roll the dice to see if it continues, but otherwise Lewis will have it in the bag. And it's a 3, so it will continue. So we will see which is the fancy objective. We'll count it up first. Lewis has got 1, 2, 3. So that puts you were on 14, you're now on 17. And I've got 1, 2. So I was on 12, I'm now on 14. And then we'll see it's the fancy one this time. Could get me back in. And it's 1, 2. So this will be worth 2 points, and the game is going on. Let's see how frustratingly close I can get to getting this back before turn 7 comes around. Okay, turn 6, let's go. I managed to kill one of the Sangard, but that was basically it. Nothing else really happened. That was with Smite. Shooting didn't really do anything. Did you kill... Oh, you killed a plasma guy, didn't you, over here? The lone plasma guy with rockets and melter. So, onto Blood Angels, turn 6. The Sangard pushed forward onto this objective, or near this objective, ready to charge the Nurglings. These guys advanced and moved forward, and just got into this area here. These guys then started shooting and shooting and shooting, and we just tore apart the Nurglings, wounded on 2s, which got loads of hits, loads of wounds, and killed all of them off. They just died, which was really nice. And Lewis had pulled back onto here, and I managed to spam a plasma shot off, and a squad, 8 bolters from rapid fire, and managed to just do the last 2 wounds and kill one. So they're hitting on 4s now instead of 3s, which is significant. Also, it just left me with 1 Sangard versus 1 character on this objective. So we're contesting. I thought, I'm not going to charge because my Sangard will just die. So that robs Lewis of another point. We've just rolled the fancy objective. It was a 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So in turn 7, I do have a chance to get it back. Sorry, I can't talk because I'm really excited. Let's see what happens. So turn 7, Lewis moved this guy over here, and he got a smite, ran him so he could get a smite off against the Termies and be closest to them. And he got that smite off, and he got 3 wounds, taking that Termie captain down to 1 wound. Then his last Plague Bearer ran over here, tried to charge in, but my Sangard actually got 6 to hit, wounded him, killed him on Overwatch, no saves made. Then we just played on, got through, because we're, basically at the end. This guy charged in, I'd done a bit of shooting and put 2 wounds on him. I got my Thunderhammer through, he made 1 of his Feel No Pains, but 2 wounds through, he's only got 4 wounds. So this guy finally was slain by the sanguinary, by the 1st Company Sergeant. Then I did a little bit of shooting over here, thinking, oh, maybe if I get some hits through, I can blow one of these up, maybe do something, but didn't matter. So in the end, we're coming into this turn with me on 17 and Lewis on 19. I miscalculated. I thought it was an 18, but I'm not. I'm on 17 after last turn. Now I've gained this objective, so that's 1. I've gained that one, that's 2. And this guy is 3, 4, and then he's directly in the angle to 6 inches off the board, because that's where he's supposed to be, to maybe 5 points for line breaker. Now Lewis has cleverly moved these guys back, so he's gained 1 plus another 1, 2 for line breaker, plus 1 over here. So he goes from 19 up to 22, and I go from 17 up to 22. So after a 7-turn, brutal, cinematic battle, a bloody fight to the death, we've come out with 22 all, a massive score and a draw. So what a game. I thoroughly enjoyed playing that. Took away a lot of lessons, which I hope you have too. It's been a long battle report, so I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've learnt a lot from it and taken some lessons away for yourself without an after battle action report. So we'll call it there. Lewis, I'll shake your hand. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much everybody else for your time. This has been the Schola Progenium. Goodbye.